Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get started. I'll now ask the honor guard to post the colors. Now I'll ask Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Walter Hoskins to say our invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for this day and for this occasion where we set time aside to honor those who have fallen in service to our country. And we're grateful for these citizens and these participants who have come to this event. And we pray that your blessing upon them. Thank you for the food that we have enjoyed, for the fellowship around the table. Bless our speaker as he brings a message to us today. This our prayer in your holy name. Amen.
You may be seated. Again, thank each and every one of you for being here this morning. Before I get started, I want to clear up with my friends, the Marines. You're going to see later in a video talking about one of our honorees that General Chesty Fuller is recognized as a captain. Now, that was probably along the way accurate, but certainly one of the most decorated Marines, so I don't want those guys upset with me when you hear that. So we fully recognize Chesty Fuller's importance as we go forward and his recognition as one of the most decorated Marines in history. So again, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the 20th Mayor's Memorial Day Breakfast. The Veterans Committee, headed up by Sam Nichols, and the city staff that support the Veterans Committee always do a great job in organizing this event. Let's give them a hand because this is not an easy task. Not an easy task, but they do a great job in recognizing and showing appreciation for our veterans. You know, it's hard for me to believe that it's been 20 years. I guess the old adage of time flies when you're having fun holds true. Many of you have attended all or most of the breakfast and have helped us honor some great American heroes. With our Distinguished Veterans Award, we've honored enlisted men, junior officers like lieutenants, and senior officers like colonels and generals. 2 of our distinguished veterans won the Medal of Honor, and we are thrilled to have Benny Atkins with us this morning, another Medal of Honor winner. Sir, we appreciate your presence today. Obviously, the Medal of Honor, our country's highest award for bravery in battle. One of our heroes was a national hero, the subject of a major motion picture, while another was the Commandant of the Marine Corps and a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. 2 were famous astronauts. One common thread that ties together all of the honorees is their love of Auburn. They ultimately are community leaders that mean so much to our community. Another common thread is that they've all distinguished themselves not only in service to their nation when called upon, but also to their communities. It's not surprising that someone who is willing to serve his country would also serve others in his or her community throughout his or her lifetime. In 2012, the Veterans Committee added a second award, the Heroes Remembered Award, in honor of the memory of the Auburn veterans who distinguished himself or herself in the service of the country and the community. This award has been presented each year since 2012 to the families of the late heroes in recognition of their achievements. Auburn's connection to the safety and security of our nation has a long history, and we believe that it's important for us not to forget those who went before us in making peace possible for each one of us to enjoy. This year's winners of our 2 prestigious awards carry on in the great tradition of earlier winners. During his lifetime, Fred Lacey has succeeded on numerous fronts. He held a highly successful military career, as you'll hear more about later. He earned a Ph.D. in history from Auburn University and enjoyed a second career as a well-known historian in higher education. While achieving acclaim in the military and in academia, he is also a renowned biblical scholar and Sunday school teacher. Our heroes remembered this year is the late Frank de Graffenried, father of the late police chief Frank de Graffenried, Jr., who was not only a Marine Corps hero, but he served as a captain in the Auburn Police Division until his retirement. He was well known among generations of Auburn officers as the brave and knowledgeable leader that taught them how to be police officers. During my lifetime, there's been a reversal in the opinions that our countrymen have toward the brave men and women who wear our nation's uniforms. From the dark days of Vietnam, when our returning warriors were not given the respect they deserved, to the current day when we openly thank our military, the personnel of the military and veterans for their service to our community. This event on Memorial Day was created in the spirit of recognizing and thanking our soldiers, Marines, sailors, airmen, and Coast Guardsmen for what they mean to this country. So while Memorial Day's purpose is to revere those who paid the ultimate price in service to our country, we've used it to honor all of those who have served and currently serve in our community. So reflecting back to the 1990s, I felt like it was the deep roots that Auburn has in the military and the history that Auburn has that cried out for recognition. And this annual breakfast has gone a long way, I feel, toward letting everyone know that Auburn, Alabama appreciates those who served and all that still serve, especially on the day those who sacrificed their lives for our country. Of the many accomplishments that this city has had over the past 20 years, the recognition of veterans in our community is the one thing that I am most proud. So thank you for supporting those initiatives. Because of my great respect for the people in this room, I wanted this group to hear the news directly from me that I've decided not to seek another term as mayor. I've been on the city council since 1986, a long time, and have served you as mayor for the past 20 years. Well, your confidence, trust, and friendship over the years have meant to me can't be measured. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve you in this important job as mayor. And so now is the time for the city to move on with new leadership. Although I feel we've accomplished much, the best days for this community and this university lay ahead of us. So for the past nearly 4 years, I've had the good fortune, of working with Ron Anders as the Mayor Pro Tem. The job description for the Mayor Pro Tem is to be there when the mayor needs him, to attend an event, lead a meeting, or provide leadership. So Ron has informed me that if I didn't run, that he would seek the job of mayor. And so in August, he will seek that job. Since the veterans, and in particular the celebration that we hold for them on Memorial Day and Veterans Day, are very important to me, I hope that these events will continue. Ron has assured me that if he's elected, that they will continue and that he will pursue the efforts to honor and take care of the necessary honoring of all of our veterans. I feel fortunate to have been mayor during a time of a great part of achievements that have happened in this community. And it's not because of the mayor. We've had great city councils and people involved in leadership in the community. So today, as a prosperous place with a booming economy, Auburn has been fortunate to have really good jobs for its people. Our high school is one that we can be most proud of, and we have the ability now for our high school and college graduates to stay here in Auburn and seek the good jobs that are available through both Auburn University and our city schools. As we move forward, I do want to thank one person that has been a stalwart and certainly a huge benefit to the city council and to this particular event. So I want to thank Dick Phelan for what he has done, not only for our nation, but for the Auburn community. Dick, thank you for your service, as Dick has been on the Veterans Committee since its inception and has served on the city council for 16 years. We have two very special guests today, ladies and gentlemen, that we're very proud to have. Auburn University President Steve Wreath and his wife Janet are sitting at our table. We're honored that they chose to attend this event today. As Dr. Wreath knows, Auburn has a deep and rich history with the military, even to the roots of our battle cry, War Eagle. We proudly note that Auburn was recently acknowledged as a military-friendly campus, and I feel confident that Dr. Wreath will continue that effort. In addition, Dr. Wreath has worked very strongly to support and increase cooperation between the city and the university in economic development. As we all know, the university is the primary economic engine of East Alabama, and we're proud of our partnership with the university in economic development and so many other ways. So thank you for coming, Steve and Janet. and we appreciate and you won't know how much your support means to all of us. So I hope that all of you enjoy today's event. We're so fortunate, well, we were when I came in, we're so fortunate the weather has given us a break and that we'll be able to get to the monument and do that celebration as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and have a wonderful Memorial Day as we move forward.
Good morning. That's the first I heard Bill Ham say that. Needless to say, we're going to miss him, not only as mayor, but as leader in this community. We have often recognized him as somebody that we certainly like, and he's been a great mayor, and congratulations not only on being a good mayor, but on being a one heck of a guy. So anyway. During the past year, we have seen an increase in the men and women serving in the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. However, during the previous 10 years, from 2007 to 2017, we had reduced our men and women serving in these services. In order to assist those veterans who have a spouse and children and the family that cannot all work while one parent goes to Auburn or Southern Union, we have established some scholarships. Right now, there are better than 1,000 veterans going to school in our community at either Auburn or Southern Union, and this is growing annually. We have established an endowment at Auburn University for $50,000 and have another $50,000 sitting in a checking account for scholarships. We're currently providing two $2,000 scholarships to veteran students at Auburn University and one $2,000 scholarship to students at Southern Union. Andy Lamar Jr., who is the son of Colonel Andy Lamar, who was on our initial Veterans Committee when it was established 20 years ago, has started a blast and cast event, which is done at War Shooting Grounds in Sylacauga. This is the largest money-raising function that we have. Last year, we made $7,500 from Andy's blast and cast event. We have probably taken in about $30,000 during the past 5 years through this event. We're going to do the same thing again this year. We'd like to thank Andy, who unfortunately cannot be here today, but for this year, we will do the same thing on Saturday, October 20th, and we can field 23 teams of 4 members each. If you are interested, see either myself or our chairman of the Auburn Veterans Committee, Sam Nichols, and we will tell you about it. Now we would like to introduce our scholarship winners to you. The Southern Union $2,000 scholarship winner is Jonathan Vasquez. Jonathan, I think he's over there. Would you mind standing? Jonathan originally joined the Air National Guard in 1997. He was in stateside activities and training until after 9/11. After 9/11, he was deployed to Auburn in 2002 and 2003. Around 2005, he decided to leave the Air Force. He is presently majoring in radiology, is married, has a daughter and a son. His wife is very involved in the pharmacy field and will enter Auburn this fall to pursue a degree in pharmacy. Also, Rosario Thomas, who is the Veterans Coordinator at Southern Union. I think he's over there. Is he with you? Would you stand up, Rosario? Thank you very much for coming this morning. The winners from Auburn for the $2,000 scholarship are Sergeant Jared Thomas and Sergeant First Class retired Kevin Horschel. Jared, I think you're over there. Would you mind standing? Jared is from Smith Station, Alabama. He's in the Alabama Air National Guard for over 5 years. He's a parachute rigger for the Airborne 20th Special Forces Group. He is studying professional flight management at Auburn and should have his private pilot's license by the end of June, I believe. As soon as he has filled his contract with the Air National Guard, he hopes to fly in the reserves as a fighter pilot. Thank you for staying, and thank you for standing, Jared. The second person that we have winning a scholarship for Auburn is Kevin Horschel. Kevin is not here this morning as he is currently on an internship. He's originally from Minnesota and retired from the Army in August 2016. He deployed to Bosnia in 1998. He had numerous other combat deployments to Afghanistan and Iraq from 2001 to 2012, culminating in almost 8 years of foreign service. His highest awards are 3 Bronze Star Medals and 2 Meritorious Service Medals. Kevin is married to a former Army Sergeant, Bronwyn Herschel, who is a third-year veterinarian school student at Auburn University. They have a daughter and 2 sons, both of whom have enlisted in the military. Kevin is trying to achieve a degree in public administration. We also are currently working on a $2,000 scholarship for a Purple Heart recipient. If we can achieve this, and I think we can, Auburn University will become a Purple Heart University. As many of you realize, and as Bill mentioned, we started the Auburn Heroes Remembered in 2012, where we acknowledge somebody from this community who has made a real contribution to the military and to Auburn and has subsequently passed away. The Auburn Heroes Remembered for 2018 is Sergeant Frank DeCraffenreid, United States Marine Corps, who retired from the Auburn Police Department in 1987. He is a former police captain in Auburn and the father of a former police chief, Buddy DeGraffenreid. Now we have a video on Sergeant DeGraffenreid. You guys ready to play it?
Sergeant Frank M. DeGraffenreid III was born in Columbus, Georgia on May 11, 1930, to Frank and Lucy DeGraffenreid. He spent part of his childhood in Pittsview, Alabama, and lived most of his life in Auburn. Frank attended Auburn High School, where he was number 10 on the Auburn High Tigers football team. After graduating high school, Frank traveled to Atlanta to test into the military. He passed the test with a score one of the recruiters said was the highest anyone had ever made. But Frank always had a suspicion that the recruiter said that to everyone. Frank joined the Marine Corps and began his career in June 1948 at the Marine Corps Recruit Depot in Parris Island, South Carolina. After 13 weeks, his platoon came out with honors. In 1950, Frank was deployed to serve in the Korean War. He was part of several iconic battles in Korea, including the Battle of Incheon, the Battle of Yeongdong, and the Battle of Chosun Reservoir. During the Battle of Chosun Reservoir, he served under the legendary Marine Captain Chesty Puller. In Frank's memoirs, he talks about Captain Puller's unwavering dedication. When troops flew in to take Puller out of the battle, Frank said he refused to leave. Puller told them, "I came here with my men, I'm going out with my men." Frank spent 9 months fighting in Korea before returning to the U.S. He received numerous awards for his service, including the Bronze Star Medal, which he received upon his return in 1951 at a ceremony held at the Marine Barracks in the Norfolk Naval Shipyard in Portsmouth, Virginia. He received the award for heroic achievement in connection with the operations against the enemy while serving with the Marine Rifle Company in Korea on March 19, 1951. While the company was assaulting a series of strong enemy replacements, it was pinned down by enemy fire. Frank disregarded his own safety, crawled to an exposed position, and fired rockets into the enemy bunkers, silencing their fire. Frank served at the Norfolk Naval Shipyard, and he met his future wife, Dolores, at Virginia Beach. They got married in May 1952 and moved to her hometown of Rochester when he was discharged in June 29, 1952. After a year, they moved back to Alabama, where they had their 4 children, Cheryl, Frank, Janice, and Karen. Frank worked in sales before joining the Auburn Police Department in 1953. He attended many training schools, FBI short courses, and graduated from the Montgomery Police Academy. He was promoted to sergeant in 1963 and became Auburn's first detective in the early 60s. The Exchange Club honored him as Policeman of the Year in 1967, and he was promoted to captain in the mid-70s. Frank was known and respected for his dedication to his duties, his ability to solve difficult cases, and his fairness to his fellow man. He put others' needs before his own, going so far as to lend his gun and patrol vehicle to new officers when the department was running short. Frank was even complimented by those he arrested for the respect he showed. He was a member of the Marine Corps League and the Fraternal Order of Police and retired from the Auburn Police Department after 30 years of service on March 1, 1987. We honor Frank for the outstanding soldier, captain, and citizen he was. His mark on the Auburn community extends far past his years on this earth. And for all these reasons, we are proud to honor him as the 2018 Hero Remembered.
Would the family of Sergeant DeGraff and Reed please stand? Thank you very much. And Karen DeGraff and Reed Higgins, would you come up and receive the plaque that we put together for the family? Auburn Heroes Remembered in grateful appreciation to Sergeant Frank M. DeGraff and Reed, United States Marine Corps. Thank you. I'll be followed by Sam Nichols, who is the chairman of the Auburn Veterans Committee.
Thank you, Dick. First, I'd like to recognize some people who are here this morning. Sitting at the front table, Colonel Tom Watley and Representative Joe Lovern. We have 3 former distinguished veterans. They're still distinguished veterans. They were formerly recognized at this event. First Lieutenant Doug Watson, U.S. Army. Dr. Doug Watson, longtime city manager for the city of Auburn. He was instrumental in establishing this event and the construction of the Auburn Veterans Memorial at the corner of Ross and Glenn. Already introduced is Command Sergeant Major Benny Adkins, U.S. Army, recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor. Benny will actually let you touch his Medal of Honor, but I'd ask him first before just going up and touching it. We have Staff Sergeant Carrie Owen, last year's recipient of the Distinguished Veteran. Carrie is the recipient of the Silver Star and Bronze Star for his heroism as a combat medic in Vietnam. I'd like to acknowledge the Veterans Committee members who are here this morning. Captain Dick Phelan. Everybody stand and keep standing. Stand up, Dick. Corporal Grady Jones, U.S. Marine Corps. Lieutenant Colonel Pat Deary, U.S. Army. First Lieutenant Kathy Golden, U.S. Air Force. Captain Puck Esposito, U.S. Navy. And Lieutenant Commander Bill Broom, U.S. Coast Guard, our most recent Veterans Committee member. Thank you all. Representing the Auburn University War Eagle Battalion Army ROTC unit is Major David Van Horn. He's the unit XO. Representing the Auburn High School Junior ROTC and commander of the Auburn High School Junior ROTC is Lieutenant Colonel Tony Benitez, U.S. Army. Tony does a fantastic job over there. His unit has been recognized and maintains the status as a unit of honor and distinction, or a JROTC honor unit. Tony is a West Point grad. 1 week ago on Monday, West Point baseball team swept the Navy baseball team to win the Patriot League championship. And of course, last December, the disaster in Philadelphia when Army beat Navy. As time expired, Navy missed a field goal that missed by 3 inches on the left in the blinding snowstorm. So anyway, this December, we're going to start another 14-year run. Go Navy, beat Army. He's been here every year at this event, and we've never recognized him. I'm going to change it this year. I'd like for Lee County Sheriff Jay Jones to please stand up. Jay does a fantastic job keeping the citizens of Lee County safe and maintaining law and order. Thank you, sir. I'd like to recognize some of the ceremony participants. First of all, Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Walter Hoskins, U.S. Army, retired, who drove over from Fort Benning this morning to deliver the invocation. Thank you, sir. Nathan Landers. Nathan, stand up. Nathan Landers is our bugler at the wreath laying ceremony this morning. He's a member of the Auburn High School Band. Our pianist this morning has been with us for many years, Jim Warman, veteran. Jim, as of yesterday, Jim turned 91 years young. Jim, you are amazing and an inspiration to us all. Lisa Tabor is our vocalist. Lisa really bailed us out this year. Just about every singer in town is up at New York City today. Dr. William Powell and his wife, Rosephine Powell, are putting on a big production at the Lincoln Center tonight, and they've taken just about every choir in town from every church and every organized singing group, and Lisa graciously volunteered to sing for us this morning, and we thank you very much. City of Auburn employee Ben McGee keeps the flags flying at the Auburn Veterans Monument. Where's Ben? He was here earlier. Okay, back there. Okay, thank you, Ben. David Dorton runs all the public affairs for the City of Auburn, and he supports us day in and day out, and we thank you, David. Philip Dunlap is the Director of Economic Development for the City of Auburn. Sometimes I think he does way too good a job, but that's just my personal opinion. But David and his group support the Veterans Committee, and they do a wonderful job, and thank you so much. Cynthia Williford joined the staff at City Hall last year. She came over from the OA News. She's standing back there behind the video camera. And she has produced the videos for us this year and works on our website, and she does a fantastic job. Thank you, Cynthia. The person most responsible for the success of this event year in and year out is Andrea Mitchell. Andrea, you on the corner back there? There she is. Andrea, yeah. She does an amazing job. She leaves no detail ignored. She just does a wonderful job. Thank you, Andrea. Cammie Smith, please stand up. And your parents, please stand up. Cammie has received an appointment to the United States Military Academy at West Point. Cammie was in the extremely demanding IB International Baccalaureate program at Auburn High School, and that should prepare her well for the rigorous curriculum up at West Point. Cammie reports to West Point on July 3rd for our day or receiving day. We wish you well. Dalton Harrelson, stand up. And parents, stand up. You had everything to do with his character and putting him where he is today. Dalton has received an appointment to the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis. Dalton is from Dalton graduated from Smith Station High School on Saturday. He's a star baseball player for the Smith Station Panthers. He was not recruited for baseball for Navy. He earned his appointment based on the merits of his record alone, but we expect him to walk on to the Navy baseball team and be a star collegiate baseball player in the Patriot League. And so Dalton reports to Annapolis on June 28th for I-Day, Induction Day. Thank you. Midshipman Second Class Joe Farrow. As of 3 days ago, Joe became a midshipman second class, and those new shoulder boards look great. On Thursday, Joe he's graduated from Auburn High School 2 years ago, and we introduced him at the breakfast then. On Thursday, Joe reports to Fort Benning, where he will voluntarily and repeatedly jump out of perfectly good airplanes. And he's got a big summer ahead. Then he's going to San Diego, and at the naval base there, he'll go out to sea on probably a destroyer for 2 or 3 days. Then he'll cross over to Point Loma, Ballast Point, the submarine base, and he'll probably go out to sea on a nuclear submarine for 2 or 3 days. And then he's going over to Coronado Naval Air Station, North Island, where he will fly helicopters and Navy jets. And in the Navy jets, they'll take him up and he'll do barrel rolls and loops, fly upside down, high G turns. And Joe, I hope you don't get as sick as I did when I did that stuff. And then he's going up to Camp Pendleton and be a Marine for a week and probably fly more helicopters and go out in the field. So have a great summer, Joe. I'd like to echo the mayor's appreciation for Dr. Leath and Janet Leath. This is their first opportunity to attend this event, and we are honored by your presence, sir. Okay, and at this point, I'd like to go totally off script, and we don't have this on the program, but I would like for our 3 distinguished veterans recognized in past years to come up to the front. I'd like all the Auburn Veterans Committee members to please come up to the front, and I would like for Mayor Ham and Dick Phelan to join me at the podium, and for Dick Phelan to take the microphone.
Now, you all have programs for this morning. You can see, as the mayor mentioned, it's the 20th annual Mayor's Memorial Day Breakfast. He's been doing this since 1998. And we, as the Auburn Veterans Committee, wanted to recognize him not only for having served for 32 years on the city council, but also having served and having orchestrated the Veterans Committee's things for the last 20 years. And because of that, we have bought a eagle that has, what does it have on it?
Let me get my glasses on. It says presented to Mayor Bill Ham by the Auburn Veterans Committee to recognize 20 years of outstanding service.
20 years of outstanding service. Let's hear it for Bill Ham. Mayor Bill Ham, 20 years of outstanding service. Thank you. Thank you all very much.
And now for the main event. It was very, very easy for the Veterans Committee this year to select our distinguished veteran. He is a man of God, and he is a man of impeccable integrity and character. Colonel Fred Lacey, please show the video.
Such an honor to be able to get with you and to talk about a person who has profoundly influenced not only your life, my life, our families, our church, and this entire community. And I don't know of anybody who is more worthy to be honored than Colonel Fred Lacey.
Lieutenant Colonel Fred Lacey was born in Geneva, Alabama on April 4, 1931, to Irby and Minnie Lacey. Fred first came to Auburn to pursue a bachelor's in agricultural science from the Alabama Polytechnic Institute. He graduated in 1953 and went on to serve in the U.S. Army for 21 years, including stints in Europe, Vietnam, and Korea. Fred began his military service a year after his graduation as a second lieutenant in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Before his first deployment to Germany, Fred married his wife, Emily Christenberry Lacey, on July 4, 1954. He served with the 2nd Armored Division in Germany for 3 years before returning to Fort Sill in 1957 for training. He was promoted to captain in September 1960. In June 1961, Fred joined the 7th Infantry Division in Korea as an assistant G3. Fred and his brigade were responsible for defending the western half of the Korean demilitarized zone. Though a truce was in effect, North Korea was consistently probing to find weaknesses in U.S. defenses. Fred was responsible for planning patrols and curtailing the North Koreans' efforts. When his brigade was relieved of their responsibility, they were charged with planning and conducting an amphibious landing. Between his time in Korea and Vietnam, Fred attended Air Command and Staff College at Maxwell Air Force Base, where he graduated in the top 5% of his class. He earned a master's in international relations from Tulane and served 2 years in the Department of Army Staff at the Pentagon before being deployed to Vietnam in 1970.
And he was the senior advisor to a Providence chief down in the Mekong Delta area and south of Saigon. And there had some very harrowing experiences, was almost killed one time in a helicopter he was flying in, and the enemy shot a weapon at him, a grenade launcher, and he saw it actually coming, but the grenade went behind the helicopter and exploded.
It was there that Fred was promoted to lieutenant colonel and earned one of the most coveted awards, the Combat Infantryman's Badge, an award that very few artillerymen have the privilege to wear. He also received the 2nd Bronze Star of his career for saving a man's life. Fred returned to the loveliest village on the plains in April 1971 and worked with the Auburn University ROTC. He and his wife Emily raised their 3 children, Cindy, Tricia, and Liz, in Auburn, and Emily served as a principal of Wrights Mill Road Elementary School for about 20 years. After retiring from the military in January 1975, Fred earned his Ph.D. in history from Auburn and served as a professor and department chair at Chattahoochee Valley Community College in Phoenix City until 1996.
Fred had such a love for this country that he said, I'm going to do something. Sure, I'll get a negative response, but it was right, I think during the Iraqi invasion, he said, I'm retired from the military, but I'm going to write the Army and let them know that I'm available if they want to bring me back to help in any way, that I love this country and I'm available. Beneath that uniform, deep in his heart, is a humility, a gentleness, and one of the deepest loves for God that I have ever seen in a person.
Fred is an active member of the Auburn United Methodist Church and has taught classes on the Bible for more than 60 years. In 2010, he published a history of the Bible, Discovering the Bible, a layman's history of the origins and preservations of the Holy Scriptures. He and Emily will celebrate their 64th anniversary in July and are now proud grandparents of 8 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild.
Just think what our country would be like if every person in our country was a patriot, just like Fred Lacey.
That's right. It would be a greater, because it's a wonderful country in which we live, but it would be greater.
Fred is an exemplary Auburn graduate, citizen, veteran, and we are honored to present him with this year's Distinguished Veterans Award.
I'm thankful for my granddad and for his service because it has taught me what it means to persevere and have patience.
We are so proud of you. We're thankful for all the opportunities you've given us as a family. We love you.
When I think of Granddaddy, I think of him always coming to see us, even though we lived all around the world, and he always brought a little present with him.
He was at every softball game while I was growing up, standing behind the backstop with bits of encouragement and words of advice.
My entire childhood, you showed me what it is to put service before self.
The word that comes to mind when I think about my grandfather is kind.
My granddaddy has shown me what it's like to be a selfless member, both in the military and society.
Parker, what's our word for granddaddy? Can you say happy? Happy. Good job.
Please be seated. My only question is, do we call you Colonel Lacey or Dr. Lacey? Please come on up. Ladies and gentlemen, Fred Lacey.
Congratulations, Fred. Thank you. Thank you. Probably got a word you want to say.
Yeah. Can I say a few words?
Yes, sir.
There's so many things on my mind and heart right now, but I do want to respond to what my good friend Sam said. It reminds me of what I consider one of the cute little things in American history. When President Nixon was elected for his first term, he named Henry Kissinger as his foreign policy advisor. A couple of years into his term, he promoted him to Secretary of State. And so you had the obligatory press conference, and one young reporter, thinking to get a step up on Dr. Kissinger, asked him, said, "Now with your promotion, do we call you Secretary Kissinger, or do we call you Dr. Kissinger? And with a little wry grin, Dr. Kissinger looked at that young lady and says, "You can just call me Your Excellency." So, Sam, you can just call me Fred if you... I stand in awe as I'm here before you today. As I watched this video, it reminded me of something years and years ago. A young golfer, barely known except maybe to his family and close friends, named Zach Johnson, outdueled the great Tiger Woods and won the Masters. And all the reporters were asking, who is Zach Johnson? Who is Zach Johnson? And so they confronted him about this and asked him. He said, I don't even know who Zach Johnson is. And so when I look at that, I don't even know who Fred Lacey is. But I stand before you and I thank you, Mayor. This was a super idea, super, and it's grown every year. Emily and I have been able to attend all but two. We've enjoyed every one of them. I thank you for this. I seem to remember somewhere in the dark ages that I had you for 1 quarter in ROTC, and I'm not sure. I think I successfully talked you out of a military career. Ladies and gentlemen, this room is full of heroes. I'm the least of the least. But I want to pay tribute to people that I think we don't recognize enough. And that is military spouses, women and men now who stayed behind to keep the home fires burning, to be both mother and father, knowing all the time that their husband or wife were in great danger. So I would like to ask all the military spouses who are with us today, please stand and let us recognize you. Now, my wife, Emily, is struggling a bit. She's back at the door back there and cannot stand. Well, she can too. So, all Emily and I one time, several years ago, sat down and went back over our career, and it's our, not my career, our career. And I was gone from home about 6 years and 6 months out of those 20 years. So she had a tremendous job, and I'm sure all of you, ladies and gentlemen, did the same type of thing, and so I pay special tribute to you. I want to thank Miss Tabor. I hope she hasn't gone. What a beautiful, beautiful rendition. It pains me when I hear people sing the national anthem and they don't sing it the way it was written. Rather, they try to show off their vocal range or something. It is so painful to me, and I thank you for doing what I call it right. Thank you. Today is Memorial Day, as we all know. It's sad to me that a large part of our population, this is only a holiday, and pay very, very little attention to the purpose of this particular day. And I want to say a word about that, but I skipped something I wanted to say to our president Mrs. Lee, thank you for coming today. I graduated from API before you were born, and so, so I go a long, long way back here. Auburn is home to me. I often say, and I think I'm completely right about this, that Auburn people fall into two categories. The first is those of us who have been able to return to Auburn, and the second category is those who want to return to Auburn. So it is a special place, Mr. President. We wish you well. Okay, now, Memorial Day. Didn't start off as Memorial Day. As I trace the history of this, it started as what came to be called Decoration Day. And it began in a small town in Virginia. Warrington, I believe, was the name. I'm not positive about that. There's some differences as you read this. But anyway, it started off as a family went to the final resting place, the cemetery, the grave of the family member who had been killed. They decorated his grave. And so that began to catch on. And before the end of the Civil War, and I might just make a historian note here, I don't know why we call it the Civil War. There was not anything civil about it. And yet, that's the name that we have. Anyway, Decoration Day, and it grew and it spread north and south. In 1882, the name was officially changed to Memorial Day, when we would recognize and honor those people who paid the ultimate price for our freedom. Now, the date was set then for May the 30th, and that continued until 1971, and the date was changed to the last Monday in May. Great thought went into this, I would share with you. We had to give everybody a 3-day weekend, didn't we? So, Harry, how are you? So, Memorial Day, it is the purpose of this day that is so important. Emily and I were looking at following one of the news channels Friday, and I don't remember which one now. Those of you who know me real well probably know which one I was watching. But anyway, they were celebrating in New York on the aircraft carrier, the Intrepid. Thank you. Someone, you know, when you get to be 87 years old, you lose some of your, the Intrepid. And as a part of that ceremony, they had Lee Greenwood to sing his great song, God Bless the USA. Let me read to you, incidentally, I thought it'd be a great thing to have Mr. Greenwood here, but unfortunately he had a previous commitment, and I'm not sure the mayor would have wanted to pay that honorarium. But let me share you, I love this song. I've heard him and been in a part of an audience, but listen to this. It's so beautiful. And I'm proud to be an American where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave this right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. I am more concerned about the future of the United States than I've ever been in my lifetime. I was 11 years old when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and I have been actively following, studying, teaching our history ever since. And I see, and I could be wrong in my perception, but I see a deterioration of commitment that bothers me a great deal. As I study history, some of the greatest empires that at their peak were the strongest, and yet they were destroyed from within, not without. To be a great country, you have to have a commitment from all of your citizens. You have to do, like Mr. Greenwood says, I'm proud to stand up. We have to be. We have to pass this on to our children, our grandchildren. And I'm exceedingly proud of my family as we have followed through with this. 17 members of my family, 16 of them are here today. One is on a senior trip in Greece, and I forgave her for this year. I would have loved to have been with her. And so we have to do this if we're going to be great as a country. As I was thinking about this, my thoughts went back to when I was in 11th grade English class, and we had to memorize poems. We got a certain number of points for all the poems that we memorized. The one that has stuck in my mind the most, and I think it is so very appropriate today. I'm not going to try to quote it. My memory is not quite that good. But I want to read to you a poem that was written by a Canadian lieutenant commander named John McRae. It goes, in Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing, fly scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived. We felt dawn, saw sunsets glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders field. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If you break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders field. And so I proudly put my poppy on. That's the origin of this thing right there. This speaks to honor all the people who have given their lives. The latest figures I can find, approximately 1,200,000 Americans, men and women. In World War II, some 22 or 3 women were killed. And so that was the beginning of major service. You know what our most destructive war has been? Once again, the Civil War. We lost more Americans because we were killing each other, if you can figure that out. There's a footnote to that, though. About 2/3 of the service people who died during the Civil War died of diseases, not combat action. So I urge you, join me today in remembering all of the great people who have served the United States and made the ultimate sacrifices. I'm honored beyond my ability to tell you. I stand here once again, I say the least, but I'm thankful to the Veterans Committee for selecting me for this great honor. I join a parade of very special people, and I am thankful to you. Mayor.
Fred, the Veterans Committee and the city would like for you to have this in remembrance of this day. It reads, the Auburn Distinguished Veterans Award in grateful appreciation to Lieutenant Colonel Fred Lacey, U.S. Army retired, Auburn, Alabama, May 28, 2018. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor. By the way, before the mayor leaves, many of this audience understands the word draft. Have you ever heard the word draft?
Yes, sir.
So I'll start a movement right now. We'll draft the mayor for another 4 years. I think. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. All right, before we get started with our musical selections, I do need to ask each of you, there are flowers on every table. We'd ask you to designate somebody at that table to take them home with you. And Mike Kozolopov asked that I be sure and ask you that the table out front where Mike is so grateful in donating his time and being a part of every veterans event we have, selling these poppies to raise funds. Mike said, please don't take those flowers out there because they're going to the Veterans Monument. So he has to guard those because each year when I say take flowers, people take the flowers. So everything in the room, if you will. So now we are honored again to have Lisa as she will do musical selections, and we appreciate again you being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Will the service members please stand when their respective song is sung? Are you off? Power. The United States Coast Guard. We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in thee. Through surf and storm and howling gale, high shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our fame, our glory to fight, to save or fight and die. I, Coast Guard, we are for you. United States Air Force. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. They come zooming to meet our thunder. Atom boys, give her the gun. Down we dive, sprouting our flame from under. Off with one terrible roar. We live in fame or go down in flame. Oh, nothing will stop the U.S. Air Force. The United States Navy. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day, 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 day. Through our last night on shore, drink to the full. United States Marine Corps. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine. The United States Army. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the Army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the Army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the Army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong. For where'er we go, you will always know that the Army goes rolling along. That the Army goes rolling along. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her.
Come on, y'all, let's stand up.
Guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Let's sing that one more time. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
You may be seated. Lisa, I think Dr. Powell's in trouble. We thank you so much. An excellent job. And Jim, thank you as always. Excellent. Getting younger every year. All right, Sam has been watching my clock and his clock, and we are on schedule to get to the Veterans Memorial, Veterans Monument in time. I think we're right at 9:30. But I want to thank each of you again. I want to thank the Veterans Committee as Carol will tell you, I'm not a big guy that likes surprises too much. I was certainly honored and surprised. I appreciate that recognition very much. I've got to tell you that in 1998 at the old City Hall, which is where the police department is now, before we moved to the post office, Doug Watson came in, and he and Philip Dunlap, and it was the two of them as we sat in the mayor's office, and they said, you know, we really need to do something for veterans. So certainly it was a great idea, but I got to give them credit, and I really appreciate the city being involved. And Sam mentioned economic development, but that's the department we put it in because people, we didn't have any money to start this with, so we had to depend on the money from economic development to get this started. But it's been a great, great event, I believe, and I think it's been meaningful for this community. So thank each of you again for your contributions. And Fred reminded me through hundreds and hundreds of events that I've attended and had the honor to speak at over the years, I'm the world's worst about honoring or saying anything about my spouse, but she has been a part of every event I've ever been involved in, so I appreciate all of the years she's put up with me and trying to do what I thought was the right thing for the city of Auburn. So thank you, Carol. All right, don't forget the flowers. We look to see you at the monument, and I would ask to please retire the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, remember the reason we're here and remember the reason for this day. We look to see you at the Veterans Monument. Thank you. Joined us at the Memorial Day breakfast, and we appreciate that. For those of you that did, you're in for a treat now as Lisa Tabor will come forward and sing our national anthem. Lisa?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner
Thank you very much, Lisa. And now I'll ask Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Walter Huskins, U.S. Army retired, to do our invocation.
Let us pray. Lord of liberty, we thank you for teaching us the value of sacrifice and for teaching us to honor such sacrifice. All across our land, from big cities to small towns, and all around the world, in U.S. territories and foreign countries, our servicemen and women are buried. Thank you for the thousands of volunteers who on this Memorial Day will decorate the graves of our fallen heroes. God of comfort and mercy, bless those families who still feel the sting of death and who are deeply saddened by the loss of their hero. We ask your blessing on this wreath-laying ceremony this day. All this we ask in thy holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Colonel. We appreciate your willingness to come from Fort Benning today and join us, and we appreciate your service to our country as well. Again, for those of you that were at the breakfast, we had an excellent breakfast this morning and got to honor some very special people, both posthumously, and you will hear from our honoree right after my remarks. Fred Lacey, a stalwart in our community, gave an excellent speech, talked about patriotism, talked about what it means to be an American and about the values in America today. So Fred will speak to you in a minute, but I just want to say to you, please always remember what this day is about. You know, I think Fred's mentioned that so many people look at this day as a holiday, and it is a wonderful time for families to join together. But I would ask you to urge people, obviously you're here, but I would ask you to urge people as those families join together that they understand the reason that they're able to join together. It's because of the lives that have been lost and giving us the right to have the freedom to do events like this and to enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy day in and day out. So I would also say to you the same that you've heard me say for 20 years, and that is, while we're here today to honor those that made the ultimate sacrifice, when you see a veteran, when you see someone that has served you, served us, and served our country, thank them for their service. Whether it be, really, it doesn't matter where you are or when you are, I can assure you that they will appreciate it. Whether it's a train station, an airport, a bus station, on a street corner, or whatever. Thank a veteran. Thank them for their service and our freedom that we enjoy. So thank each of you again for being here, and at this time I would like to ask Lieutenant Colonel Fred Lacey, U.S. Army retired and our honored veteran, to come forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a distinct honor for me to be here today. As I made the remarks at the Hotel and Conference Center, I'm overwhelmed by the honor that's been given to me, and I acknowledge I'm the least of the least, but I think I'm the proudest of the proud, if you will, for this. And the mayor said in his remarks, today is the day that we remember the Americans who have paid the ultimate price. In Vietnam, in the unit that I was privileged to serve, I lost several young people, outstanding young men. I loved every one of them. It hurt then, and it hurts now. And so I honor, as much as is within me, I honor the Americans who have served us without any type of selfish thoughts, but did so freely. I consider every American, men and women, who have served our country as my heroes, every one of them. But I especially salute today those who have gone before us and left such a great example. My last thoughts, you see, a great many of you have put the poppy on. I lost mine, so that's the only excuse I can make. That is a practice that came out of World War I. And the poem that I read, shared with the group at the conference center, was in Flanders Field, where poppies grow, row on row. A beautiful, beautiful piece of work. And from that, we have taken this great symbol of the poppy to remind us of the great sacrifice. So, Mayor Ham, I truly pay tribute to you for developing with the idea and running with it and making this such a successful day. My thanks to you, truly, truly. And to all of you for coming. I thank you for recognizing the sacrifice made by our service people. And I would add, living and dead. My hat is off to you and I salute you. Thank you very much. Mayor, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Color Guard, post. Thank you to Nathan Landers for a rendition of Taps, and thank you to the Auburn University Naval ROTC Color Guard, both at the breakfast and here this morning. And now we'll do the wreath laying, and to assist me this morning, Camden Swats, Miss Auburn Opelika area, and Sarah Beth Huntley, Miss Lee County Fair Outstanding Teen. Now you have the good fortune of hearing Lisa one more time for God Bless America.
Please join me if you would like. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you, Lisa. And as in years past, we're blessed this morning to have Dan Drummond, U.S. Navy veteran, retired, to do Amazing Grace on the bagpipes. And at the conclusion of Dan's playing, we are concluded. Again, I would ask all of you to remember the reason for this day and thank a veteran, and remember why we have the freedoms that we do. Colonel Lacey, thank you, sir. And thank each of you for being here this morning, and those of you that are in the military, which there are many here, thank you for your service, because I truly know how important that is. Thank you.